Hi, I'm Jake, and I'm Carrie, and this is Love You Like Crazy. Today we're talking about blah, 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 blah. How's that?
That's perfect. I'll just use that. Hi, I'm Jake.
I'm Carrie.
And welcome to Love You Like Crazy, the podcast where we talk about young adult books. And we spoil them and we
I
swear.
don't think we're going to swear a lot in this episode, are we?
I know, it's kind of weird.
I don't know. Fuck. How's that?
Yeah, god damn it.
Okay. Today we're talking about Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. It is amazing. I'm so excited to share this with you. I can't wait to get into it. We got a lot to talk about.
I really like this book a lot also. It's funny and it's bitter and it is my heart. So let's get to talking about it.
Okay. So we read Libba Bray's Beauty Queens, which is in essence a story of young teenage beauty queens getting stranded on a deserted island after a plane crash.
It was published in May 2011. They are crashed on this island. It's sort of a Lord of the Flies kind of setup.
I was going to say it's more like Lost of the Flies.
Yes, no, Lost is definitely... there's actually an explicit reference to Lost in the book at one point.
Yeah.
Should we go through the characters maybe and just talk about them a little?
Yeah.
Did you have like a favorite?
Oh my gosh. I think my favorite character was Miss Texas.
Taylor.
Oh, yes. Miss Texas takes her pageantry very seriously, y'all. There has always been a Miss Texas in the top 10.
There has.
And so she is determined, Sparkle Ponies, to make it. Even though they are on a deserted island, she is determined to continue practicing. She's determined to continue conditioning until she goes nutso.
She is the true believer in the pageant. Like, she sees it as like absolutely correct and the best way, like you're leading your best life if you're going to win this pageant and vice versa. So when it's at a key point, she finds out that, well, first they get a radio and manage to fix it up, and they hear a news broadcast saying that they've given up looking for the beauty queens. And the news that the woman who heads the pageant, Ladybird Hope, past pageant winner and Taylor's personal hero, when she hears her saying that they've given up and they're no longer looking for her, like that is the first blow. And then when she then goes off into the jungle, finds the corporation headquarters and discovers that not only have they given up looking for them, but they actually knew they were there the whole time and just have intentionally not let anyone know, then that is a second blow. And then when she's hit with hallucinogenic darts and is drugged and starts seeing things, then that is the final thing that just pushes her over the edge. But through it all, she is always like completely certain of what to do. She's like very self-assured, and she is just totally badass.
She's completely badass. Like, at first you're starting the book and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, Taylor, like this is ridiculous. You're all on a deserted island. Like you have no food, no water. And you're talking about like doing a kick line and making sure you've got your choreography down because, most of the girls are dead.
Yeah.
So how are you going to adjust? But she, we get a backstory on everybody. And I think for her, clinging to this pageant really helped her through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But like the woman she becomes on this island is amazing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, one of the lessons of the book is that first, like once the kind of the motivation for these women to be fighting amongst themselves and seeing each other as threats, like once that's gone and they actually can cooperate, they all do have all these amazing abilities and skills which they can use. In the end, they're probably better suited to set up camp on a desert island with no adults around than really anyone else. And she is kind of the ultimate of that because she has all the skills. She's also kind of a natural leader in a lot of ways. And by the end, like kind of her antagonist, who's really kind of the main character in a lot of ways. Adina, Miss New Hampshire, is kind of emulates her in a lot of ways once Miss Texas goes kind of off the rails.
Yeah, because Adina was first runner-up,
right? In the election
in pageant world. So first runner-up is there to take the crown if the winner is no longer able to perform her duties, and it turns out Taylor was no longer able to perform her duties. But she also was. And I love Taylor. So who is your favorite character?
Well, good question. There are a lot of good ones. As a Rhode Islander, Petra is a lot of fun.
Petra is amazing. Petra knows who she is. And fuck all y'all.
Yep. Petra is trans.
Correct.
Which is a secret because it's not really clear how the pageant officials would take to that. I feel like now even it would be a tricky thing, but I think like even in 2011, it would be a lot more likely to be a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with that. I don't know if people who are actually trans would agree with that, but that's how it seems to me as a 45-year-old observer of culture.
I think it's more likely to be accepted now, but not necessarily accepted.
Yeah.
If that's a good way to put it. She was in her younger days one of the Boyz Will B Boyz band members.
Yeah. Can I just list some songs, some Boyz Will B Boyz songs for you?
I would love it if you did, because they're amazing.
Let me shave your legs tonight, girl. I gave up my hobbies so I could spend more time with you. I love you like a stalker. Well, that's basically every song. And then finally, Safe Tween Crush.
That was my favorite. I love that one.
So we mentioned that kind of the main character is Adina Greenberg, who's a journalist student from New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
So why is she... why did she enter this contest?
She entered the contest basically to take it down from the inside. She's very anti-pageant. Adina thinks that they're anti-feminist and wants to bring it down.
And she thinks that romance is stupid and the way it's sold to people is dishonest. And she makes reference a lot to her mother, who got married a number of times, at each time thought that her new husband was the one. So she's very cynical about things like that. Okay. Mary Lou Novak, Miss Nebraska.
Oh my God, I love Mary Lou too. I love her. She's amazing. So Mary Lou, she's very pure, very chaste. She's a very good girl.
Right. She has a St. Agnes medal and a purity ring. And Adina keeps making fun of her for these things and then apologizing when she realizes that she's being kind of a jerk about it.
And she is being kind of a jerk about it because, Mary Lou is strong and funny and smart and she likes sex.
Right.
Her parents had, or her mother anyway, had sort of acknowledged the fact that she had this wildness in her and gave her this purity ring to sort of tame her.
Keep it tamped down.
Yeah, keep it tamped down. And when she didn't have to do that anymore, when she lost her purity ring, it sort of helped her realize, it's okay to be the wild girl. It's okay to want to go on adventures, and she's amazing, and I love her.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of, at first, it's presented like she's, basically a werewolf.
You mean Joe thinks this thing is a werewolf? That's impossible. Werewolf?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It's just that she likes sex and, is willing to go after it. And living in the patriarchal world that we do, that's not acceptable basically to anyone, man or woman. So, yeah, so she's been keeping that repressed as much as possible. But on the island, she comes to terms with that, that it's, that's a fine way to be, and she shouldn't be ashamed. So we have Miss Ohio and Miss New Mexico, and two other people, Miss Montana and Miss Arkansas, who we do not find their actual names until 2/3 or 3/4. No, I think like 80% of the way through the book.
Yeah, it was like 80% of the way through. I think it was like 87%.
And it's mentioned real quick.
I've read this book like 2 or 3 times, and I missed it until Jacob finally reminded me that I totally read it 2 or 3 times. It was really quick. They all have the same name.
Yeah, they're right. They're like, can we just call each other by our names instead of our states? It seems weird. And so then they start calling each other by their first names, and they're all named Caitlin. And then they're like, okay, well, what's our middle names? And they're all named, middle names are Ashley. So I I accepted that as a funny joke. But they are not, I don't remember.
There's nothing really. Yeah, they're just sort of background characters.
Miss New Mexico has a serving tray impaled in her forehead, which is
so and she gets bangs later.
Yeah.
Then we've got Tiara.
Right. She is kind of the typical dumb blonde, I guess.
Yes.
But she ends up having, like she gets them into the secret part of the compound. She has, like all the other ones, she has kind of these depths that are not immediately visible.
I mean, I would agree. I mean, she's dumb as a post.
Yeah, she's pretty dumb.
But she's got enough where she's got a spark.
Also, like, part of it is just that her parents have raised her since she was like a week old, I think. Yeah,
I think her first pageant was a week old because they said, like, oh, we could tell by the way she cried that she wanted to be in pageants.
Yeah, so she was like Miss NICU or something. So she's like, she's just been raised in that way forever. And any attempts to question it are met with excruciating amounts of guilt from the parents about, like, we sacrificed so much and, that kind of thing.
Don't you know how much these dresses cost?
Yeah. So there's a reason that she is the way she is, but also, like, she's a good person. She is not, she's not as limited as at first it might seem.
Yeah.
Shanti Singh, Miss California.
She's really funny. There's a lot going on with her. So she speaks with a very, like, British occupied Indian accent. Like, very proper Indian accent with the girls at first. And she talks about how, she's an American girl who can make her grandma's papadam. It turns out she's a total Valley girl. She's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
And, she can't stand one of the other girls because she's like, nope, there's never been 2 people of color in the finals. Like, I'm going to hate you forever. You're the worst. And, of course, they're BFFs.
Yeah.
I think once everyone becomes honest with each other, instead of, having their game face on with everything, I think that's when they all actually can band together and get a lot of stuff done. And that's when they, get the water and the houses and
and she
figure out. Yeah. Sorry.
No. I'm sorry. I kept interrupting you.
It's okay. There's a lot of stuff to talk about here.
Yeah.
Most of which is like batshit crazy.
Right.
Because as we're talking about this, y'all, as we're mentioning these characters, don't forget there are giant snakes.
Yes.
There are pits of quicksand. There's, let me just mention, a giant volcano.
Yeah.
There's the occasional, like, mega storm which washes people away, and, like, there's also, like, so much shit happening as we're being introduced to all these people that it's just like, you know what, just keep interrupting me, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Throughout the book, like, someone will look over the volcano and be like, man, I hope that thing doesn't erupt. I'm like, yeah,
it's gonna. FYI.
Oh, I forgot one of my other favorite characters. Oh, well, I'll mention one of the side characters. Brittany Slocum, Miss Alabama.
She's amazing too.
She has a third nipple. That's the main thing.
She does.
But then Jennifer Huberman of Miss Michigan from Flint.
She's amazing too. So basically, like, when you start reading this book, a lot of the characters look, like I couldn't stand Miss Texas.
Yeah.
And same with Jennifer. I'm like, oh, look, a stereotype. She's a tough lesbian from Michigan, and she's been in and out of juvie. She's amazing.
Yeah, she loves comic books.
She loves comic books, and she gets her heart broken, and she deals with it in a mature way.
Yeah, that's something that okay. So there are like kind of tropey ways that things would get dealt with, like things that you've seen a million times in movies and stuff. So I've mentioned in a previous episode that a friend of mine works with teens, and basically what she wants out of a young adult book is teens get together, they have sex, they break up, and they deal with the consequences. Mm-hmm. And Jennifer and Sosie Simmons, Miss Illinois, who's partially deaf, they get together. I don't know if they have sex or not. That's
not our business, y'all.
Not our business. But they do break up, and then they like kind of deal, they can't be around each other for a while, but then they eventually
have to be
are friends again. And I like that a lot.
I like that, she said, like, look, I can't not have you in my life, but I can't be around you right now. I was like, that is perfect. I mean, that is what we all hope for in a breakup. It doesn't often happen, but it's what we hope for. Like, I like you. I just don't want to fuck you.
Right.
It's just really sweet, saying like, you're going to be the best man in my wedding.
Yeah.
Well, she's like, well, maybe not, but.
Right. And then later on, Adina hooks up with one of the pirates, Duff McAvoy.
Yeah.
And he completely betrays her trust and like tapes them having sex without her knowing. And then like apologizes and it's like, I'm totally, but I really like you, but I don't know what I'm doing. And like, here's my situation. And she completely never lets him off the hook. Like,
I don't blame her.
Yeah, no, well, that's absolutely correct.
And what I liked about that is what she said. She's like, look, I saw my mom making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I'm going to let myself make mistakes, but I'm not going to let it happen twice. And I was like, yes, I think every girl coming of age needs to be sent to a deserted island with a bunch of other girls.
Yeah, that's kind of the moral of this story.
And learn to be women together. And, I loved that, maybe before this had happened, she would have fallen into the same traps her mom did. But because she's had this completely life-changing experience, she has the wherewithal to just be like, you know what, it's okay to make a mistake, but I'm not going to go back to it because fuck that guy.
Yeah, and also like I think her friends are like, you didn't do anything wrong. This isn't anything that you should be blaming yourself for. This is
all on him.
Another thing I did extra reading, Carrie.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
So, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, maybe, or no, maybe a month or two. There was word around that, some male filmmakers wanted to do an all-female remake of Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, they sure did.
So Libba Bray wrote an article kind of in response to that. Which I'll link to.
Like, hi, I've already written this.
Yeah, she's like, wait, this sounds familiar. But actually, apparently, beauty queens, like there was some attempt to make it into a movie at one point. It doesn't sound like it got super far. But she said that watching that process was very eye-opening. And she said, I saw a script in which every stereotype I tried to subvert in Beauty Queens was made real. There was an actual hair-pulling cat fight.
What?
Yeah. It's hard to put into words exactly how I felt at that moment, but try, if you will, to imagine me with lasers coming out of my eyes while my internal organs became as the fires of Mordor. They didn't get it, and they were legit trying to get it, which made it doubly painful. It wasn't laziness, it was a fundamental tone deafness, an inability to comprehend and relate to women as real people. So, I mean, I bet in any script where this relationship took place, like there was a lot of pressure to be like to make them get together at the end, because that is rife in popular culture. You let the guy off the hook if he seems at all contrite.
Yeah, if he looks pretty and gives you sad eyes.
Yeah, or like even now, I mean, not to get too political or anything, but you see this at work with some of the people who have recently been revealed to be horrible people.
I mean, not to get too political, but I think this book in particular was absolutely relevant for today's political climate.
Oh my God. I have to tell you, Carrie, like
there were times I was like, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah. So see, I wonder if you're thinking the same scene I did. Like when
Lady Bird was on the news talking about, the plane crash.
Mm-hmm.
It was so disturbing to me. Is that what you were thinking of as well?
No, but let's track that down first. Let's see.
I found it. It's maybe 14% when she's talking with Barry Rex.
Okay. Do you want me to be Barry?
I do want you to be Barry.
All right. Lady Bird Hope, thank you for joining us tonight.
You betcha, Barry. I just want to assure everybody out there in our great nation that we're doing everything we can to make sure we bring these girls home safe. Barry, it just makes my heart kind of sick when I think of all the bad girls whose planes could have gone down. Such a tragedy that these sweet girls who follow the rules set down for women through the ages while also learning to walk in bathing suits and heels are the ones who are now missing. Some of those bathing suits are from our own Lady Bird Hope Pageant Princess swimwear line, which is America's best-selling swimwear line, by the way.
The plane was a corporation plane, which have been rumored to have navigation troubles. The corporation has been accused of cutting costs on its airlines. Do you think that could have something to do with this? Does this reflect badly on the corporation?
I like your suit, Barry.
Can you answer the question, please?
Barry, my opponents will stop at nothing to smear me just because I'm a straight talker who loves her country and her pageant. I can't talk too much about it, but there's evidence, Barry, that the plane was shot down by hostile forces. That this was a terrorist attack on this country's best and brightest, the sort of scenario I warned about in my new book, Get Scared, America.
What are you saying, Lady Bird?
I'm saying that if I were president, this would not have happened, not on my watch.
The call board is lighting up like a Christmas tree over here.
Well, it's no coincidence that Christmas is Jesus' holiday, Barry.
We'll take your calls in a moment. But first, Lady Bird, you've come under fire recently for your promotion of a pageant that some see as antiquated. That the system rewards girls for being pretty, and it values compliance and conformity rather than the boldness and rule-breaking that we pride in our boys, and which often help them feel entitled to success, to getting ahead in life.
Well, frankly, that's the sort of stuff I expect my critics to say, because they want to turn all women into sluts who can get an abortion at the drive-thru while they're off at college getting indoctrinated with folks singing patchouli wearing hairy armpit advocating feminism, which is just one step away from terrorism, and we should all be afraid of that.
I'm not sure
Barry, let me give you a history lesson, Lady Bird Hope style. When the Vietnamese kids got hooked on drugs and we had to fight a war to stop it, did we give in? No, we said crack is whack. And we made sure that everybody could have guns instead of drugs. Back before the British were our friends, and they had a mean king who made us pay too much tax instead of having us just having hot princes who go to nightclubs. They wanted to keep us from bringing freedom to the people of Mexico and making it into a state. And George Washington had to chop down a cherry tree and write the Star-Spangled Banner, and that's the reason we fought World War II. And why we keep fighting? Because those freedom-hating people out there want to take away our right to be rich and good-looking and have gated communities and designer sweatpants like the ones from my Lady Bird Hope Don't Sweat It line. And they want us to all learn to speak Muslim and let the lawyers stop us from teaching about Adam and Eve. That will be the day that every child gets left behind. Our country needs something to believe in, Barry. They need to be that shining beacon on the hill, and they need that shining beacon will not have all these complications and tough questions about who we are, because that's hard. And nobody wants to think about that when you already have to decide whether you want original recipe or extra crispy in that little box is squawking at you. And let me tell you something, Barry, that shining beacon will have a talent portion and pretty girls, because if we don't come out and twirl those batons and model our evening gowns and answer questions about geography, the terrorists have won.
Your Don't Sweat It line is made in China.
Well, I can find China on my map, Barry, and these days it looks a lot like America. All I can say is these brave girls represent the very best in us, in both evening wear and talent. And I sure hope they're okay, because if this is a terrorist attack, we will go after those evildoers. So help me God.
Anything else you'd like to add?
And at this point, all we can do is pray.
We are not trained actors, ladies and gentlemen, and other people.
Actually, I am.
Oh, well, that was frightening.
That when I read that, I was like, oh God. Like, it freaked me out. It freaked my shit out.
This is what I wrote down. I wrote Donald Trump, parentheses. I mean, really, Sarah Palin, in parentheses.
Yeah.
Like, everything about that, like, that is almost not even a parody of Donald Trump. That is just basically Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But there's a scene later where she's talking to Momo Bichacha, the foreign dictator. And can I just read this?
I would love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Momo smiled, then frowned. When is Momo to receive his weapons, Ladybird? Already I have funneled 1 billion dirtmas into your account through secret means and killed everyone involved with the transaction. Also, you have said unkind things about the Peacock in the press, the Peacock being his nickname. Oh, now, Momo, you know that's just politics. Once I'm president, I'll lift the sanctions against your country. Goddamn, Libba Bray. Why you have to be so prescient?
How did she know?
I don't know.
How did she know?
Oh my God.
Libba Bray. Oh, that hurts. That goes right through the heart.
It does.
Oh, damn. Yeah, so Ladybird Hope is basically, she's a former pageant queen who wants to be president. She is conspiring with Momo Bichacha to do some sort of arms deal.
Yeah.
And then she's going to have, basically have him kill all the beauty queens so she can kill them so they can start a war. So that'll look good for her so she can be president.
Right.
Needless to say, if you know anything about beauty queens, they won. They blew shit up and got off the island and found her sex tape and spread it around, and it was amazing. That comes later. That's at the very end. FYI, spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're really doing a plot summary per se.
No, we're not. But I think one can only hope that there are some beauty queens out there ready to take our president down.
Yes.
One can only hope.
We can. So that tape, like, it's not just that it's a sex tape, but she is also talks to him.
It is a sex tape with Momo Bichacha.
Right. And also where they're talking about
said arms deal.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. The pirates.
So suddenly a pirate ship shows up. And they are the pirates of a reality TV show about pirates. So you're like, why are these like not even real pirates, these actor pirates showing up on our island?
And what is the name of the reality show? Do you have that?
Captain's Bodacious.
Captain's Bodacious 4. Badder and more bodaciouser.
So the Captain's Bodacious have a big hole in their boat, and they shipwreck, and the ladies are like, oh shit, we all got to shave. Yeah. And they're, at first you hate them all because, they show up. They're like, okay, honey, get me something to drink. I'm just going to sit here. And Tiara's like, that's my bed.
Mm-hmm.
But then at least one of them really grows on me a lot.
Captain St. John. Yep. So he and Petra kind of develop a thing fairly quickly.
And Petra, she breaks it down for him and she tells him the whole story. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. Captain St. John is a super big Boyz Will B Boyz fan, which doesn't hurt.
And also looks great in heels, which also doesn't hurt.
His persona is kind of caddish, CADDISH, but he's kind of a stand-up guy in a way.
Yeah, I mean, he's clever, he's funny, obviously very accepting, just generally like a good person. He does turn tail when he thinks that black shirts are after them.
Yeah, that I thought wasn't totally convincing. That was a little contrived, I thought.
I think they needed to get them off the island
Right.
in some way, and I guess that's how you do it. So, yes, contrived. But at the same time, it worked because the girls sort of needed to, like, work through that, too, and not just completely like, oh, the men are here.
Right.
They needed to be like, oh, fuck that shit. I guess we got to fix everything on our own.
Yeah.
But the gentlemen do come back. There's also a couple other guys. There's Duff, who we talked about, and a couple other, like, randoms. But Captain St. John, he's a big dude. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him so much. And when we get to the epilogue, and we find out where all the queens are in their futures, Captain St. John is still in the picture.
Right.
As is Tane.
Tane Nagata, who used to live on the island, or is from the tribe, the native tribe of the island that got relocated / deported by the corporation. And he pretends to be from the Department of Ornithology from someplace. But it turns out that he's like a eco spy? Yeah, eco warrior, something.
Yeah.
He knows that the corporation is doing bad things on the island. He's trying to figure out what. And so he and Mary Lou meet up. They do a lot of heavy making out.
A lot. And then he disappears.
Right. And nobody is quite sure that he existed. They all kind of question that because there's no trace of him.
Well, there's no trace of anybody. They think they're alone, and suddenly someone's making out with a guy. I would probably question that too, to be honest. So he's pretty amazing too. Like we said earlier, Mary Lou was sort of taught to be perfect and pure and sweet, and she meets this guy, and there's just like complete transformation, animal magnetism, and he's just like, cool. She's like, aren't you like afraid of my sexuality? He's like, no. She's like, well, what if I want to go on adventures? Cool, I'll come too.
Yeah. And I think one of the sort of key things, like I feel like maybe sometimes I'm making it sound like this book is more didactic than it is when it's basically a romp, Like it's super fun. Everything is funny, but there are also messages here too. And one of the things that I think is key is that they, as I said, do some heavy making out, and she is very clearly like into him. But she's, at a certain point, she says, I don't want to have actual sex yet. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So the idea that you can be a quote wild woman, end quote, but still have limits on what you want to do at a given point.
Absolutely.
Another thing that in a lot of popular culture and in the culture at large would be questioned. Again, that's the thing that's absolutely fine in this book and in this world that they've created for themselves.
Yeah. When Adina has sex with Duff.
Oh yeah, that was really good too.
That was really good because she's like, condom.
Yeah.
And he's like, but she's like, no, condom. It's like, but baby, I'll pull out. Nope, condom.
Yeah.
And he went and he got one. I mean, he was still a douchebag, but she held her own. She's like, I'm not going to be fucked around with.
Right, and she was tempted, but
of course, I mean, like most people are. But she's like, I'm not going to fucking get pregnant. Dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to the others.
Right.
That's what I wrote them down as. Queens and others. And so we've got the others. We've talked about Lady Bird Hope.
Yep.
We've talked about Momo V Cha-Cha.
Yes.
And then we've got a couple of agents. There's Agent Jones.
Right.
He's just kind of a guy who's, he works for the corporation. He's ready to retire. He wants to get the fuck out of there. But he's also a bad dude.
Yeah. Kind of my impression is that in the world of beauty queens, the CIA got privatized at some point.
Yeah.
So he used to work for
the government
or some organization like that. Then he ended up working for this private firm. And there have been a lot of kind of culture clashes since then. So he's kind of miserable in his job, particularly when he finds himself being given tasks like, why don't you go murder a bunch of these teenage girls?
But also he doesn't have any sort of like moral objections to it.
Right. But there's like the scene where he's like, my God, I've been given this task to kill all these girls. I can't believe that this is what they want me to do. And I could take early into retirement right now and just live on my pension. And then another character that we're going to talk about shortly comes in and says, hey, so it turns out we're getting rid of all the pensions. Sorry about that. And kind of puts his thumbs on the scale so that Agent Jones ends up being like, okay, I guess I'll do this. But he kind of gets, like, he's given a little bit more of a complex backstory and ends up, I forget exactly what happens to him, but I
don't remember what happens to him either, so I just sort of assumed he died.
He's hit with a hallucinogenic dart by Taylor.
Yeah.
And then he gives the...
Oh, that's right. So they were on the boat. Wasn't he on the boat with them?
Yes. He gives them the secret of how to disable the self-destruct sequence.
Which is a killer PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, correct.
Which is also amazing. Like, how do you know if it's a good PowerPoint presentation? You just put a lot of, like, clip art and bullet points, and it works.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, by most corporate standards, that's how you know it's a good PowerPoint presentation, is you use all the transitions.
All the fades.
And maybe put a video in and everything, and they totally did that. So
they did all of that, yeah. Oh, and then we've got his colleague.
Yes, the dweeb.
Harris Buffington Ewell Davis III.
Son of the former CEO.
Likes Pong.
And uses the word misunderestimate a lot.
A lot! And he's awful. I mean, he really is a dweeb, but he's also a terrible dweeb. And if he's the son of the former CEO, why is he doing so well in the corporation? Why did they take him on?
I forget if it was said or not, but I think maybe that was part of the deal that when the CEO kind of retired, in quotes, or was sort of shuffled off after a scandal in which he had
embezzled a lot of money.
I think that was part of the buyout, maybe, was that his son got to be an intern or something.
But then, I mean, he got to be an intern, but they are totally fast-tracking him for management. But I guess he's corporate, so whereas Agent Jones is not.
Right. It's all like kind of about who you know, I would think. I mean, that kind of nepotism, even weird nepotism like that, I think. Mm-hmm. Like, I actually totally buy that.
I buy it, but it makes me mad.
Yeah, well, that's true too. So do you think this book, how angry would you say this book is?
I would say on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Maybe a 15.
Yeah. Like, this is a funny book, but...
This book gives no fucks. And this book doesn't even pretend to give any fucks.
Yeah.
It's just like, feminism good, corporation bad.
But it's also, I mean, like, you know, Adina is feminist, but not always in a totally positive way. Like, for instance, she doesn't take Tiara or Mary Lou all that seriously necessarily.
But I think when the women like come up with their own rules and, you know, they're like, we don't have to say sorry anymore. Like, that's, I think, a truly feminist act rather than just like saying you are a feminist. And so that's why I think this book is, you know, it's more feminist than Adina is.
Yeah. Right. Like the idea that there's a makeover class at GirlCon.
Like, that's awesome. I would totally go to GirlCon. I want to learn how to like murder people and look sassy in cool heels. Like, of course, GirlCon sounds awesome.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned this, but Taylor kills like 60 people.
She kills so many people, and like nobody believes that she's killing people, but she's killing a lot of people, and she's keeping all their black shirts.
I was like, where are these black shirts coming from? Something weird is going on.
There's a lot of really good things in this book. I just, oh my God, I want to eat it. It's so good. And it's like one of those books that like I wish I had when I was younger.
Mm.
Like in so many books, you do have the hair pulling cat fight would have happened if someone else had written this book, perhaps. But I think because it's Libba Bray and because she goes full weird, and I love her for that, it's what I would have needed as a teenager, I think. think it would have made me a different person earlier. So can we talk about Momo B Cha-Cha a little bit?
Sure.
He really likes Elvis a lot. He's also like a really interesting person because he gives no fucks. He's the center of the universe in his world, and he has a stuffed lemur named General Goodtimes. He loves Elvis, loves dressing up like Elvis, loves American extravagance while also hating America.
Mm-hmm.
And he's hilarious and also terrifying.
I thought that he was a little too much of a character for my, like, I felt like he was less...
You didn't like him?
I was okay with him, but I just would have liked that sort of it to be subverted a little more, I think.
I thought it was fun.
Okay.
But we're two different people, Jacob. We don't have to like the same Momo B Cha-Cha.
No, that's true.
But I think if you are going to be a dictator, I hope you're a dictator who wears platform shoes.
Yes.
And has a stuffed lemur.
Right. And a ridiculous hairstyle.
Ridiculous. Oh, I love this book.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the end of the end of the pageant. The queens, they pull it off. What happens to the volcano?
I kind of forget.
It sort of like implode erupts.
Yeah.
But it gets busted. The queens transmit the recording of Lady Bird Hope to the world, and they get themselves rescued. What I like about this book is that they don't talk anything about their return to civilization.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see them, reuniting with their families or any of that, because of course there's going to be like some heavy duty therapy that's going to happen after all this. And we don't see any of that. We see, what could be like 5 or 10 years later, where it looks like they probably get together pretty regularly, but we don't see their reintegration, which I like. But who is missing from all this is Taylor.
Right.
We know that Taylor has gone batshit insane. Adina had gone to see her to try to get her to help with the pageant, and it seemed like she couldn't quite understand what was going on, but she totally did.
Mm-hmm.
And she what would you say she did, Jacob?
Well, no, wait, I've forgotten the important thing, didn't I?
Yes, the most important part.
She creates this sort of effigy to Lady Bird.
Yes. Named Miss.
Yeah, out of like coconuts and pieces of fabric and random things, and concealed inside are a shit ton of explosives,
a shit ton of lady stash off.
Yeah. And so at the end of the pageant, she sends this thing out into the middle of the runway with a special note for the beauty queens, which is run. And run they do, and then the thing blows the hell up, and chaos ensues.
It is amazing. It was one of the most beautiful moments in the whole book. And then as they're running, they try to get her, and they can't find her. They go back and look for her later, they said, and they just never saw her. They did see a flash of blonde. So she's now with the island.
Before we get to kind of the there's a commercial break, and then there's the epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
The commercial break is basically, actually, it's kind of funny. In a way, it's sort of what the screenplay would be of of the book, where there's like product placement for lip gloss, and it's a jungle out there. Better look your best with the new Bitchin' Babes lipstick from the corporation. But the last 3 paragraphs before the epilogue and that commercial is from her perch in the tree, Taylor watched them go. The orphan snake slithered down from the trees, and she let it rest upon her shoulders like a beautiful iridescent boa. My stars, this sure is a big mess, isn't it? She said, walking over the ruined land near the volcano. It wasn't terrible, really. Just needed some elbow grease, and then it would shine and sparkle like a crown. The snake nuzzled her cheek and flicked its tongue. Taylor stroked its head gently, and it settled. She had a busy day ahead. There was an island to tame, creatures to name, a world to build. Whatever would she wear?
God, I love it.
All right. Well, yeah, there's definitely plenty more we could say, but I think maybe what we should just say is go ahead and read this book. It's real good.
It's really good. I recommend it. I recommend basically everybody reads it. I think women should read it because, it feels good to see empowered young women. And I think men should read it because you should see empowered young women.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing. And thank you, Libba Bray, for writing this weird, wonderful book. I love it. And it's way better than an all-girls Lord of the Rings. Why do I keep saying Lord of the Rings when I really mean Lord of the Flies? Lord of the Flies ever will be. An all-girl Lord of the Rings would also be pretty amazing.
I know, and I would want Libba Bray to write that too. That would be something.
Oh my God.
The next book that we're going to read is The Dust of 100 Dogs by A.S. King.
I haven't read it yet, and I'm really excited to. I haven't even gotten out of the library yet, which I need to very, very soon. But I'm so excited about this book because I love A.S. King. She's another really odd writer, sort of magical realism, feminism. I love it. It's really good. So I think this is going to be a good one. I think you're going to enjoy it. I hope, because I hope I enjoy it.
Yeah,
but I really like her.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it as well. I haven't read anything by this author before, but generally your recommendations are good, so I'm hopeful. We don't have any listener mail this time, but if you have anything you'd like us to talk about, either regarding this book or any other book or just anything in general, let us know. We're a member of the Ear Trumpet Audio Network, so visit eartrumpetaudio.com for all your podcast needs. You can follow it on Twitter at Ear Trumpet Audio or on Facebook. And also check out all the other great podcasts on the network, such as Please Don't Send Me Into Outer Space.
Please Don't Send Me Into Outer Space is a weekly science fiction and fantasy movie podcast. Every Monday, Joel, Sarah, and Aaron discuss a different flick in search of the gems that define the genres. Old to new, good to bad, classic to bottom of the barrel. They cover everything you've ever heard of and more. Available on iTunes, Stitcher, and everywhere else podcasts are available.
Yeah, and I've actually been listening to Please Don't Send Me Into Outer Space a lot recently, going through some of the back catalog. And I like it a lot. They have this ability to kind of simultaneously mock a movie while also taking it serious, which is an interesting little trick. Like an example of this is they talk about the movie Zardoz, which is a really bad movie. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen it?
I have.
Yeah. I mean, I might even describe it as almost unwatchable, but it's also kind of interesting.
I have a feeling I have watched it with you.
Yeah, it's possible.
Is that possible?
I wouldn't rule that out. It sounds like something I would do. But they treat it with respect while also, I mean, there's some real ridiculous stuff. And Sean Connery runs around in a red diaper for the entire movie and something else. And their discussion of it is great. Real entertaining, but also kind of substantive. So I think if you want to check that podcast out, what I might do is find an older episode of a movie that you like and that you've seen a few times, and then start with and then after that, check out the most recent ones, and I think you'll enjoy it. I should mention that Ear Trumpet has a Patreon, and if you donate at the $5 a month or higher level, you get access to bonus audio, which Carrie and I have been recording a shit ton of, and I think it's good. I like it. I like listening to it. I think you will too.
It makes me laugh. It's really, I don't know, it's sort of like one of those embarrassing things where I listen to myself and think that I'm funny.
Yeah, well.
Like, I'm not sure if I should, if I should be cracking up at my own damn jokes, but I am. I'm hilarious, y'all. We've been watching, or we just finished watching season 1 of Riverdale, and let me tell you, it was a shit show, and it was delightful.
Yeah. So I guess that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, it's been great talking to you, Carrie.
It's so good to talk to you. I was so glad we finally got to talk about this book.
Me too. And probably the next episode we release will be in the new year. And hopefully that year will be a lot better than this one, because this year was not so great.
No, it was a complete fucking tire fire.
But I'm looking forward to sharing the new year with you, Carrie. I love you like crazy.
I love you like crazy. Dorks.
Give me a call when you get back. Hey there.
Hey.
LoveLikeCrazy.com.
EarTrumpetAudio.com.
Ideas and entertainment.
Loud and clear.
You have a funny, bitter heart?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Sounds like me.
Yeah, it does.